My name is Josiah and my carbon footprint is 2.8.
My name is Travis and my initial carbon footprint was 11.
My name is Clara and my carbon footprint is 11 tons of CO2 a year.
The home energy category had the most impact on my results. Living in an apartment, we try to reduce our impact as much as possible, but we're limited to things like changing the CFLs when lights go out. All the Energy Star appliances were in there before we moved in, including refrigerator, dishwasher. Our biggest use is probably heating. There's just a small electric heater for the whole apartment, so we have that set about 70, and our utility bill average is probably around $75 a month. We have larger south-facing windows, luckily, so we get a lot of natural light, and that limits our light usage, so that helps cut down a bit. But renting an apartment, you're kind of limited on your options.
The complex where we live is about 3 miles west of downtown. I live there with my wife, my 1-year-old daughter, and our roommate. There's approximately 800 to 900 people living in this complex, with the typical unit housing about 50 people. Fortunately, our apartment came with all Energy Star appliances and low flow water fixtures, and we have compact fluorescent light bulbs in all of our lights. According to PGE, about 31% of our home energy consumption is used heating our apartment. It's hard to keep our apartment warm in the winter because the building envelope is pretty poor as far as insulation goes. So this is probably where the bulk of our energy consumption goes.
I live in an old 2-story house in Southeast with 5 other roommates. We all have different schedules, so our energy use can be pretty sporadic throughout the day when we're not all using a room at the same time. Our house isn't very well insulated because of how old it is, and it's not been very carefully kept, so most of our heat escapes through the windows in the winter. They're single pane. Most of our lights are complex fluorescent, but we haven't really kept a very close eye on that.
We recycle just about everything we can at our home. I'm pretty religious about recycling, but all of our food scraps do go into the trash because there's no composting program at our apartment complex.
One of my roommates is very religious about recycling, and so we're pretty much recycling as almost everything we can and composting just about all of our food scraps because we do garden and we have a big garden in our backyard. So we've been able to enjoy a lot of our fruits.
Recycling, I'm pretty good about. I recycle just about everything we can at our apartments. There's no compost or gardening options at our apartments right now.
For transportation, I take public transportation to school. It's about 6 miles each way, so it averages out to about 60 miles a week. I don't own a car, so I'm actually quite comfortable using public transportation for all my needs. And getting groceries is a pretty small walk for me, so I have no trouble going out and getting food. But my biggest carbon use is in transportation. Last year alone, I had 4 short flights and 2 long flights total, so that's about 75% of my carbon footprint is just from long distance travel.
I've been riding the bus pretty much exclusively for about 4 years now. I enjoy it very much. Between work and school, I travel approximately 80 miles a week. Some of that travel time is spent riding the Max as well. My wife and I do own a car. It's mainly used for errands every once in a while, and for taking trips to other parts of the state or to see family members who live far away.
I go to school full-time right now, and I ride the Max. It's about 5.5 miles each way. That's 4 days a week. On the weekends I work, and I choose to drive that. It's a 10-mile drive, takes 12 to 15 minutes, but the options for public transit on that would take me over an hour. So that's not really a realistic option right now. This year I was lucky enough to get a used Prius, so any trips I take down to visit family in California are now driving trips instead of flying, so that cut down on my footprint a lot.
I've been vegan or vegetarian for a while, though it's been changing a little as of late. I'm kind of loosely vegetarian at this point, but I've been mostly doing it for ethical and health reasons. I buy as much local produce as I can. I go to a local produce stand, which is really nice. I really enjoy cooking with vegetables a lot. Even though I don't get a lot of organic produce, I try to get as much as I can from local sources.
My wife and I have been vegetarian for several years now, and we try to limit our dairy intake as much as we can. We do this for health reasons and ethical reasons as well, but food and what we put into our body is very important to us. So we try to budget as much money as possible for buying organic food. The places we like to shop at the most are Food Front Co-op, New Seasons, and Trader Joe's. I like how these places carry produce that hasn't had to travel very far to get there. And it's kind of nice knowing what kind of vegetables you can get locally.
Our diet over the last year, we reduced the amount of meat we're eating, but we're still at least 1 meal a day. We tried eating vegetarian only for a while and ended up slowly migrating back to eating meat. I think we'd be a little better if we slowly transitioned to eating vegetarian or adjusting what we buy to kind of ease ourselves into that instead of going all at once. Buying produce products, I try to buy organic whenever possible, but being on a student budget, it's usually whatever's on sale that we can afford.
One of the alternatives that I would really like to get into is riding my bicycle more often, into downtown and out, or transporting me just about anywhere I need. It's I guess a means that I've always really enjoyed and would like to try more. And in terms of long distance travel, I could also look into more options in terms of, if not driving, maybe taking the train and places where I can. Although I don't know how much I might cut back on flying. I'll see, I guess.
There's a community garden at our apartment complex, and I thought it would be kind of a cool idea if maybe we started some sort of composting program. And so last year, our complex handed out these bags to help us sort our recycling, to kind of promote the recycling program that they have there. And I thought that maybe for a small fee, they could hand out like small personalized mini composters, and we could use all our food waste as fertilization for the community garden. The average American produces about 5 pounds of trash each day, which amounts to about 1,800 pounds a year. So anything I or anybody else could do to maybe cut down on that amount would help.
Looking at the actions we can take next, I think the ones that are going to have the most impact are dealing with our diet, going and looking at the amount of meat we're consuming on a regular basis, and also the sources of our vegetables, produce, things like that. Places we shop if they have a local option. Places like Trader Joe's, New Seasons, Whole Foods, food front co-op. Just making an overall conscious habit of choosing to shop at those places, adjusting our shopping time to hit it on the way home while we're passing that and not taking an extra trip all the way back there, making it more of an inconvenience, but just planning ahead, making a conscious habit of shopping at these places. After our diet, I think composting options would be the next step to look at. Right now, as I mentioned, we don't have any compost options. The Portland plan that they recently rolled out only covers apartments up to 4 units, so anything larger than that, you're really at the mercy of the apartment complex. So looking into what little space we have to set up some kind of community garden, composting options that could be used in the existing landscaping. That would be something that could help reduce the amount of landfill waste we're sending out as a complex.
Most of the changes I can make will not make a visible difference in my lifetime, but it will affect the world my daughter grows up in and the world that her children grow up in. So this is my main motivation for making the choices that I make and for making the changes that I want to make.